right? Hey, Tony, my question is regarding when one is in between states, what should be their actions, or how should they discern to what they need to do to jump to the next state? Is that just getting involved in the class, or what are the actions we need to take?
The action is always to look for a connection where your desire is for disconnection, or where you feel challenged out of our own judgment of other people or the suitability of something. You have to make a bridge of love that imitates the greatness of love that you now sort of imagine the creator to be, that upper force to be. The place where a certain state is a combination of revelation and concealment. So you were excited and you received some light because you thought at the beginning you could feel the greatness of this goal, the greatness of what you thought the upper force and the creator is, and how great nature and you were inspired. You saw it, you felt it, it entered you. Now, the borders of that state are the doubts that you feel, the incompetence that you feel, the challenge that you think, oh my God, that I've got to overcome that. I have to let that part of myself, it's all, that's what is concealing the next state. The next state always comes as darkness or rejection. But whatever we can understand as being almost the opposite of how we're reacting in terms of love and connection, that's the act to do. Right now, you're really in a preparatory, in this class, in Kabbalah Revealed 1 and 2, you're really in the preparatory stuff. It doesn't mean that you're not experiencing a lot of these things, but you're experiencing it mostly against the very ideas that are happening, or the concept of, giving more time to this. It's like, it's very individual what's happening here. Later, you'll get to hang all of this onto the practical relating with other people, where now you can sort of fool yourself, and I know I experienced this myself when I started studying. We have ideas about how good the creator is and how we can be with the creator. Sure, I love the creator, but there is no love of the creator if there isn't love of people. The love of others is the measure, because it's the medium of this world that was given to us. So first, in our preparatory stage, we deal with our resistance to the concepts and to the way that our life is changing because we're getting involved in this kind of stuff and whatever, and the things we start to see in the world. Oh, and you don't ever want to return to that way of thinking and feeling. And you feel like you're kind of leaving the world. But eventually what happens is we understand who the other players in the game of reality actually are. I don't mean that there are some players that aren't in the game, but the ones that are active players, and that's where where we start really working vis-a-vis the creator, because our love or acceptance of others really tells us where our state is in very sort of minute and acute detail. But the answer is always to cover whatever distance there is with love. We also have to learn what love is. That's also what makes this a preparatory thing, because we have assumptions that are not correct.
Okay, thanks, Tony. The next question is from Farsan PV on YouTube. What's the source of the 10 Commandments from a Kabbalistic point of view? Is it believed to be directly from the creator as believed in Judaism?
Everything's directly from the creator. There is nothing but the creator. We're just sort of the opposite side of that, so that we can perceive and live. Bore means to come and see, but to create means to sort of cast something outside. But it's all made of the creator. It's just the opposite quality of the creator. Kabbalah sees the entire sort of structure of the soul, which is the created being, fundamentally in 10 sephirot, 10 spheres. These are forms of relation with the creator, and these 10 spheres, everything in reality is made out of these 10 qualities. And it sort of, there's like the initial creation, which was these one set of 10 spheres, which encompasses all reality. And then there are fractals of it that in our perception create everything else. These commandments mean the transformation of each one of these 10 spheres into its form, which is like the form in which the creator gives to us, rather than the form in which we receive from the creator. This came from reality itself. The people who wrote about Kabbalah and sort of clothed it in the story of the 10 Commandments were those with attainment that nature had granted this sort of insight in, and they also received it from a lineage of teachers. It's not a religion, and it's not a matter of belief. This is the science of reality itself, and reality speaks to us the more that we become like it, and we begin to see that this is the way that it actually is. That's what the 10 Commandments are, the correction of the initial relationship of the soul, the place of the soul, to the creator of the soul, which is the upper force, the creator.
Okay, bottom 23, we'll take your question shortly. First, I'd just like to announce a few of the locations. We have a handful here where friends are viewing from. The Netherlands, Dusseldorf, Germany, New York City, South Africa, Florida, Utah, New York, Toronto, Hungary, Ethiopia, Dublin, Sacramento, California, London, Bangalore, India, Ohio, Los Angeles, Renton, Washington, Michigan, and Cape Town. So thank you for sharing those, and you can keep those coming. I'll announce more in a few minutes. Okay, Fathom 23.
I just want to say somebody has got their mute thing on automatic, or it's not muted. Please check to make sure that your mic's muted if you're not the one speaking. Okay, go ahead.
May I now?
Please.
All right. Thanks again. In the courses I've been doing, I've been getting really a lot of questions. They're mostly minor, and I think I'm getting the points. But
which courses?
I'm in Kabbalah Revealed right now, but I did all the others before, and I've been reading the course books. So basically, I read a paragraph.
Wait a minute. So you went all the way through and you came back to the beginning?
No. I did the courses from KabU, the minor ones. Then Kabbalah Revealed open up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Kabbalah Revealed then opened up, and I bought the coursework, the books, and I've been reading them as well. So I've been having plenty of questions since then. But I'll try to just point to now, if possible. I'll be really concise. I'll
Terrific.
try.
Okay.
So I just got a question up my head right now, which kind of confuses me sometimes, which is, how do we reconcile statements such as that when it's said that the creator is infinitely good and it wants to bestow fully, and that we as created us are parts of the creator, but our egos cause harm in the world. But if we are parts of the creator and the creator wants to infinitely bestow, then how if we don't have a free will, then and we are a part of the creator, how is it that we're doing evil? How is it the creator doesn't stop us from doing the evil ourselves? So this is one of my questions. I don't know if I've made myself clear.
Yes, you have. Okay, I get it. What you're looking at is a dynamic by which good evolves. Our assumption that we're dealing with good and evil, we have the upper force has to speak to us in some way according to our understanding. Right now, we feel the difference between our quality and the quality of the creator as pain. We project it outward as evil. That's not the reality. There's a mechanism that uses the distance that we feel, the lack of similarity with the good that we perceive from the upper force as an impetus to develop a desire in us. This whole process is called good. Good and evil in the terms of the ego, but not in the terms of reality, is called very good. This is like when you look in the days of creation, there's a part in which after the evil inclination and all of that is made in the 6 days of creation, in the 7 days of creation, it's called very good. And that means that the entire dynamic out of which your changed desire, what you really want out of life and for others, changes. It changes from wanting good for ourselves to wanting good for the entire system in the way that the law of nature itself does. It uses the lack of perception, the pain that we feel, the distance from it, the appearance, our uncorrected parts appear to us externally as external evil. And all that is this part of our heart and this desire is not like the desire of the upper force. This is how we're evolved towards good, and the whole system is called good or very good.
So in a way,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so in a way, it's because we don't perceive true reality. So our desire is not in tow with the creator's desire. Is that it? Or
yes, that's right. And we have a response every time we're up against stuff like you're describing that changes the thing that we want most in the bottom of our heart, right? You want to understand the resolution of good and evil. Where does that happen? That's like a hunger for you now. That's like before it was an idea. Now you're caught in the jaws of between these two forces of the force of love and the force of egoism. And a whole new desire is being built inside of you that you didn't have before. That's how the mechanism works. These are the rules of the game. And once we begin to see how, it is sort of possible to change this. We were built in order to change this quality to that quality, and not break either of the two. It's not like bad goes away and only good remains. No. We get to work like the entire system of nature, and we desire to understand it and work that way. That's what's happening to us. Our gut level need is being evolved. And if this didn't happen, you wouldn't feel the depth of the need that you do now to understand that question that you asked. It wouldn't even come to mind. You just say, why is the world so bad? That would be it. But the question you're asking is like the question of an engineer. How did he build this,
May I ask the other one, or should I wait for
Go
later?
ahead, ask it. It's a good question. Yeah.
Thank you. So the other question I have in mind is, at the current moment, there are others, especially in a position of authority, that claim that they also need to unite and that we need to embrace togetherness and all of these very beautiful things in paper. But it's, in my humble opinion, as just a person, which is I could be as well wrong, they seem to have egoistic intentions in mind. However, their discourse is somewhat similar to what Kabbalah aims with the union of people and so on. How can we be helped into not being led astray by these people, if correctly I am perceiving them or not? Sometimes I get confused with because the discourse seems to be similar. So
yeah, that is okay. There's so much really in answering that, but I think that the important thing is that they actually do want that, but they have absolutely no idea how to do it. And it's not going to come from any of the things they already know. It's only going to come if you continue in your work and we work together and we practically open this channel of unity and connection in the place where it actually exists, because it doesn't exist in the world. You can't do it from the world, and it's too late already. It has to be done from the level of intention, and one has to be trained to work in that area. I suppose that is why you're here. So if you do this work, if we do it, there comes a point where we actually do materially feel, I mean, in the matter of intention and desire, we actually feel this field of connection. When we do that, then they'll be able to do it. Because we who are closer to it, if a person's heart is evolved to the point where they're really asking the questions that you're asking, and I think everybody here does, that means that there is a greater potential for quickly turning that over amongst us. And once that happens, we're not blocking the root level, the light from the root onto the rest of the world that is really very hungry for unity. It's up to us. It's not up to them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Fatem. Next question is from Alex of Awesome Nicholas. He's asking, what do we do about sin and how do we start using Kabbalah?
The only sin that exists is distance from each other and the desire to remain that way. If that's what we feel, no, everybody feels that way in the first place, okay? But if we stick with that as our quality and say, no, I am what I am and that's all what I am, and we don't want to change any of that, that you can call sin. Not the actions that we do, because it's, as I've been saying, it's already too late with any action that's taken. What we can do is the same answer as I just gave Fatem.
Okay, next question comes from Kevin Long, familiar name.
Mm-hmm.
Can we realize the shame that shatters us and actually become whole again? Is that what is known as being Adam?
Bunch of concepts in that. Shame, shattering, Adam. Not all of our friends know what those things are. Is that what brings wholeness? Well, shame is the reaction of the heart to the light. The acknowledgement of the distance between the state that we're in right now and the goal that we can perceive in front of us at the moment, the quality of the creator. So that if we feel that gap, then we also feel responsible. So if we learn how to perceive those two things, that somehow the shame or the distance is really telling us what our next state is. This is what we have to learn here. If we learn to recognize those things, then yes, that's wholeness. Even if the wholeness is not whole yet, if the impulse is always in that direction from us, then we're already stitching together the whole framework of that unity, because our intention is to be there. So we're already, in a sense, we're already there. You can already see sort of the spider's web framework of the threads that connect all of the hearts, because they're all having that same desire. If the tendency is in that direction, it's already a measure of revelation and wholeness.
Okay, before I go to the next question, if you're just jumping back in on YouTube, it's been on and off during this broadcast. Feel free to post your questions in the chat. We still have some time left, and our tech team will forward those to us here. Or if you're just joining, just know you can post questions in the chat and we'll take them here live. Next question comes from Paul de Bruin. Hi, Paul, and thank you for your lovely message at the beginning of the broadcast. Paul has a passage from 5 Minutes of Light clip. We are the first to correct the system of spirituality, the whole of reality. Because we are so coarse, therefore we can attract the light of Hochma before it was a preparation period leading to this point. So the question is, so in these times, are we the chosen ones?
Everybody's chosen. It's just a matter of how, whether you hear it or feel it, whether we're awakened to realize that was the reason we exist in the first place. That's the whole direction of life. is towards this fulfillment and correction, and them being the same thing. It's a matter of us choosing to respond, and what we are choosing is to agree with the way in which the light works with us, with everything that's occurring. And that's what the methodology teaches us. It teaches a person and a group of people, in other words, society as a whole, people, the whole human soul, because we're not individuals. That's what Kevin was asking about shattering. Shattering is just the perception that we're not one soul, but we actually are. There's a single creature, just this single desire. So everybody is that. It's choosing to take a path in life to make that the most important thing, to do what nature is showing us at any given moment, agreeing with it and looking for the way in which we can use that towards our highest goal. People who think, well, tomorrow or later, or maybe some great leader will come, even some great spiritual leader will come. That's not choosing, that's waiting. So methodology is an active thing. If you choose to learn how nature works, then you could call yourself chosen.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Next question comes from YouTube viewer, Bart K. Very interesting question. Is artificial intelligence something we should be afraid of? It is infinite intelligence, and my question is how it affects us. Should we just ignore it or merge with it?
Well, artificial intelligence is the creature of the ego. The ego creates some little reduction of itself and imagines that intelligence has to do with the mind and problem solving, and then says to the creature, just go ahead and multiply any which way you think in your little egoistic instructions should be, and then the ego runs wild on a limited level. It's just a reflection of giving the responsibility for our worst characteristics to some external mechanized thing. Is it dangerous? No, we're dangerous. I think. Our job is to merge with the quality of the upper force. We are a form of artificial intelligence because the ego doesn't actually exist. We're just clinging to concealment because we don't want to change what we desire, what we get fulfillment out of. Artificial intelligence is the handing over of responsibility for correction, to something external. And of course that can't happen. Nothing really happens that way. Things just get more embedded, more concealed. But it is an indication of how close we are to the light, that we are creating, or that the society as a whole is already creating a creature and understanding that there is such a thing and that we are. This means we were created, right? And we are characters in a, like I said at the beginning, in a kind of game, and you need to understand the rules of the game. And this gives us insight. The good part is that it gives us insight into how intention creates a good or a bad creature. That's all I can really say about it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Tony.
couple other locations that were shared: Serbia, and we have a viewer in Johannesburg, South Africa. Another question coming from YouTube from Daniel Alonji. Is Kabbalah the only way to attain perception?
No, the laws of nature are the only way. And any path that incorporates the intentional level makes connection with others the primary objective and method, would be an awakened path or methodology to the goal. Every path is either an awakened or unawakened one, and does eventually lead to the goal, but not necessarily on that path, because our path is complex and it involves, you might have, been involved in some spiritual path, and then you say, well, that didn't get me there, and then something else opens and you go to that. That doesn't disqualify where, what brought you to that point. It's all part of the same path, but ultimately it can only lead to one place, which is the creator and how the laws of nature actually work. To approach it consciously and, sort of like in a awake and not in some kind of passive form, means that one will eventually have to come to doing what Kabbalah describes anyway. There is only one purpose to life. There's only one path, and it has different names and different clothes. But ultimately, the awakened part of it is precisely equivalent to Kabbalah.
Okay, another question coming from YouTube. Jay-Z Mantra, is certainty a form of vessel?
Certainty is the action of the light inside our vessel. That is, when a correct desire is fulfilled, a correct desire meaning a desire for wanting to receive what the upper light wants to give us. When that light enters that vessel, that's certainty. And that's because we're not using our mind anymore. We're going above our reason in that case, in that state for that period of time, and it goes away always, because the whole point is to build a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger vessel. When we feel that in there, we feel the eternal quality, whether we can bring that to our conscious mind or not. What we feel is the eternal quality, the absoluteness of it, the pure goodness of it, and its confidence, because there's nothing that can stand against it. That's what those moments are. We started late by about what? By about 5 minutes? Yeah.
Or so, yeah, sure.
So are we actually online? Are we broadcasting at this point?
We're back on YouTube.
Okay, so we'll go a little bit longer, and then we'll go to our private session.
Okay, great. Sounds perfect. We have another question from YouTube. Nemo Sundry is asking, can you talk about conflict and betrayal in relationships? How do we address isolation and build connection if even close, trusted people commit extreme betrayal?
It's not up to them. It's up to you. It's up to you to love them regardless of what's happening, because every situation that we're in is part of that mechanism of what we feel is good and bad, that brings us to ask the question, why am I suffering? And what is it that I need to do in my relation with others that stops it? So if what happened there was a lack of love, we should not assume that lack of love is coming from that person. We need to take responsibility for all of those things, because the situations we find ourselves in our lives are the result of our own intentions. And the answer to every problem is to establish a correct connection, whether it is, physically with that person at this time, in this house, or as a friend or whatever in a group, or whether it is to give now with the heart to give that a proper context so that we understand it could not have been any other way, because I am not I am not completed in my sort of transformation into qualities of bestowal, and it was necessary to cause this need in me. It's always up to us.
Okay, another question from YouTube. David is asking, is the creator above and beyond nature as well as within it?
Well, I don't know what you're calling nature. But the gematria, or the numerical value, that is the pure qualities of the state that is called Elohim, or God, has exactly the same value as the word in Hebrew for nature, hateva. So it's woven together and inseparable in our perception. But even creator is within. It's only speaking about our creator, means our connection to the upper force. It doesn't mean whatever the essence of reality actually is. We don't touch that. All of that, all of spirituality is above and beyond what we think of as material nature. But we can never really, but we have to have this comparison, otherwise we don't have perception. So we can never really talk about, what God or reality is in its essence. We have to have a relationship in order to have any sensation of life. And all of that is both the creator and nature. It's the system, and it's the intent behind the system.
Okay, do we have time for one more question from YouTube, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, great. Alan Mario from the Dominican Republic are asking, what does it mean to connect with others? Is it the same as social exchange among us? If not, how do we go about really connecting?
Why did the hardest question have to come at the end? It is not the same, but spiritual connection and real connection is not the same as social connection, but it can include it and should include it eventually. Real connection is the actual attitude that we have for wanting to be connected for the benefit of others, for the benefit of whatever and whoever is in that connection. And ultimately, because that's what the creator wants us to do. We don't even know about it. If there's no creator, there's no desire in us for any kind of connection, So this is the creator's quality itself, that that desire is a desire for the spiritual quality in reality. And it's something that sits above desire. It is that the most basic impulse before there's even a desire, but you can call it desire. And if it comes from there, then that means that every connection and every kind of social organization that we have, and every institution in the world, and every attitude that we have towards nature, towards the environment, towards the cosmos, towards everything, is taken care of, because it is the system that's acting, not us. The only thing and the only place of free will that we have is in relation to the reason that we want to be connected and where we want to place ourselves in that connection. For what purpose? Everything else comes from that. Everything in the world that is wrong socially can flip and repair itself in very, very quickly if we are in the correct intention for why we want to connect and for to whose benefit. That's the difference. And I think the last part of the question was how you do it. You have to learn the methodology. And you can learn the methodology by going to our site, the KabU site, and there's a 14-day free trial where you can just do everything in that place and see if it's for you or not. The whole thing is not, it's not an expensive thing. We need to cover expenses, and we don't really, but there's an entire curriculum that takes a person from the beginning of concepts all the way to the practical Kabbalah, and it as an ongoing way of relating to reality. And if you go there and check it out, you can see all of the materials that we have, and we have an incredible bookstore that has authentic sources in it. And Mary, why don't you tell them about it? And after this, we're going to go. The people who are here on Zoom are going to continue in a private meeting for a bit.
Okay, sounds great. And thank you, Zoomies and YouTubers, for all your patience during the tech difficulties. We have a superhuman tech team that we're working nonstop, sorting out all of the tech issues. So huge, huge, huge thank you to all our support team behind the scenes. They really make it all happen. So if you want to join KabU, if you're not already a KabU member, then we definitely invite you to join. You can see the link in the chats. You'll gain access to several Kabbalah courses, all the way from beginners to advanced. You'll join the world's biggest Kabbalah community, and the ability to ask instructors questions in student forums if you don't get a chance to ask here live, and access to a KabU exclusive weekly webinar. Also, you'll get access to the next Kabbalah Revealed course with Tony that starts January 9th, 2022. So mark your calendars. Again, that's January 9th, 2022. If you find the content valuable and you'd like to support KabU, you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can become a KabU member. That way you get access to all the KabU courses, or you can make a donation. That's always appreciated because we have tech system to support, and we all volunteer. So any donation is greatly appreciated, and you can find those links in the chat as well. Again, thank you for your patience and so many amazing questions. It was really an incredible session. So thank you, and stay tuned if you're here in Zoom for the next hour.